Welcome to your Daily 5 for Wednesday, March 5th, 2025. This is sort of a weird 5 for me to do because I don't really even know what the point of it necessarily is, or the point may not necessarily be the most responsible thing to say, which is that once in a while, maybe it isn't, that here and there, you should splurge on something even if it seems like it's very impractical. And what this 5 is actually about is the pair of sunglasses that I have had that have survived for 24 years. In 2001, I and Lando and some others went on a trip to Italy. Now, this was before 9/11 happened. Otherwise, I would never have gotten on a plane. So it was early in the year before anything had happened. And on that trip, I had a pair of relatively inexpensive Oakley sunglasses. I don't remember what they were called, but they were of the time. They looked very 90s. They were kind of the rounded style that there was. And I lost them the first day we got to Italy. I left them in a bathroom in a hotel. I vividly remember it. And by the time I went back to check on them, they were gone. Because while they weren't expensive Oakleys, they also weren't dirt cheap sunglasses. And so somebody saw them, grabbed them, and ran with them. And after we got back from Italy, I did not know whether I was going to buy another set of Oakleys, but I actually, for some reason, and I really can't explain except I thought these were the coolest sunglasses I'd ever seen, instead of thinking, well, I probably shouldn't spend too much because I might lose them again, I did it once, I went all the way in the opposite direction and bought what at the time people thought was a lunatic amount of money to spend on a pair of sunglasses. And I bought the Oakley Juliet X medals. Now, those glasses, when I bought them, sunglasses, I believe were $225. I could be wrong, but they were definitely around $200, to the point where I was actively hiding how much I'd spent on them from anybody who didn't know how much that they spent, because it did seem like a ludicrous amount. And in some ways, as a practical evaluation, it probably was. But now, 24 years later, the same sunglasses with the same lenses. Let me tell you something. I've dropped these a few times. I've kind of accidentally sat on them once or twice. But these things, I love these sunglasses so much. They're so well made. They are basically more or less an expression of you get what you pay for sometimes. And again, would I advise most people to spend north of $200 or even $200 on sunglasses? No, I don't spend that much on most of my actual glasses to be able to see with. And yet when I look at these things, I so love that these things have held up, and that this is probably one of the few things that I've bought that has lasted more than 20 years. And it's a pair of sunglasses that as I said, have been dropped. They've been hit a couple of times. I am pretty careful with them, I'm not going to lie, because I know how much they were worth. Now, you'd have to pay something like $700 or $800 to get a pair of these. They are around, but you're going to pay quite a premium because they are no longer made. But as impractical and as ridiculous, I've said how much I've spent on these sunglasses to people, and their eyes have opened up like somebody just jabbed them in the rear end with a cattle prod, that they think that's an insane amount. My wife would be one of them. My wife tends to spend less than $30 on sunglasses, and she goes through them. Whereas I know how much these are worth, and I cherish these things, and I love them, and I still think that they look good, and they have held up. So again, I don't know really what this 5's intention is, but I look at these glasses from time to time, and the other day I saw them, and I was just looking at them, and I thought, man, I cannot believe that these sunglasses have held up this well with really no visible scratches or anything that would tell you how old they are, outside of the fact that they do kind of look like their time. I mean, they look like late 90s, early 2000s sunglasses, more or less. But they are just a wonderful pair of sunglasses, one of these things that at the time it seemed insane to spend the amount of money that I did, and yet they have held up. So again, I don't know what this 5 is for. It's not even me saying, look at these awesome sunglasses I've got. It's more of just that once in a while, it's nice to look at something and think, yeah, from a objective perspective, that was probably not a wise investment for me at the time of my age and the amount of money that I had. And yet once in a while, you splurge on something and you get to keep it and you get to look at it years later and think, yeah, this thing held up. So again, I don't know what the point of this is, except that these are awesome sunglasses. So there may be times in life where you come across something, some object, and you think, I don't know if this is really practical. But if it calls to you once in a while, it's not such a bad thing to indulge in that call, because you never know. You may end up with something like my sunglasses that last for a long time, and you love every bit as much now as you did when you got them. Later.